Whatever you think of MAGA is irrelevant, because one thing that everybody should be behind right now is the MAHA movement. You see how they're spinning that? You can get a red hat. It says, Make America Healthy Again. People are going to mistake it for a MAGA hat, so some of you probably don't want to wear it. But to me, it's a message that all Americans and Kansas Cityans should be getting behind. And this week, it was Kellogg's who found itself under fire. There were protests outside of the Kellogg's headquarters in Michigan this week demanding the company remove artificial dyes from its breakfast cereals. We haven't touched on it yet because it's been such a busy news week here locally and nationally. But on Friday, I said, we've got to get to this story. And I do want to get your reaction as parents and grandparents as well here on KCMO, because I know it's an important thing that we've been focused on in our household. So Kellogg, the maker of Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks and many other cereals, many cereals, announced nearly a decade ago that they would remove artificial colors and ingredients from their products by 2018. Kellogg's did that in other countries. In Canada, to use one example, Fruit Loops are colored with concentrated carrot juice and watermelon juice and blueberry juice. But in the U.S., what do? They still use artificial colors and BHT, which is a chemical preservative. And this week, activists showed up outside of the headquarters. They had 400,000 signatures asking Kellogg to remove the artificial dyes and BHT from their cereals. There were protesters there who said there's evidence that artificial dyes can contribute to behavioral issues in children. Now, I don't know how much of it is the artificial dyes versus, let's say, the high levels of sugar. For example, this was in the Daily Mail this week, that Fruit Loops is now called the worst breakfast cereal in the United States. Fruit Loops contains 12.35 grams of sugar per serving. 1 cup, 12 grams of sugar, or 3 teaspoons, which is almost half of a child's daily allowance. And doctors will note that most children consume a lot more than the recommended serving size, as 1 cup is not a realistic amount. So you have, let's say, 3 cups of Fruit Loops. If you are a child, that is 1.5 times the daily allowance of sugar based on the recommendations. What more do you need? And that's before you eat anything else in a day, right? And you think about it. Put a cup of cereal. Like, take your cup, what is officially 1 cup, and you put cereal in that cup. You could easily eat 3 or 4 times that. Easily. A kid could too. I know my daughters could. Easily. So these protests take place this week, and a lot of people want to put it on Kellogg. Well, I'm also looking at the FDA. The FDA, which says it's reviewed and evaluated the effects of color additives on children's behavior, but believes that most children have no adverse effects when consuming them. Our FDA, for all the 3-letter agencies that have failed this country over the last generation or two, the FDA does not get enough criticism for being a complete and utter failure. I know that we don't want a government necessarily regulating our food and telling us, nope, you've had enough Big Macs for the year. Chris Jones got another sack. I know there's a 2-for-1 Big Mac deal, but you've had enough there in Overland Park. You've had enough up there in Liberty. I know we don't want that, but at the same time, the FDA has continued to do the bidding of big food instead of looking out for the citizens. And that's how you have an obesity rate in this country that continues to increase and is much worse than it is in other countries as well. That's undeniable. We are killing ourselves. We are eating ourselves to death in this country. We now have a situation where 40% of U.S. adults are obese, 39% of men, and 41% of women. And these numbers are not getting better. In fact, they're only getting worse when you look at the obesity rate. It just continues to increase. In 2000, it was at 30%. It is now over 40%. It has increased 33% in a generation, the obesity rate. And when you look at where we were 25 years ago, never mind where we were 50 years ago, when everyone's smoking and, living okay, smoking a lot of cigarettes, and instead now the obesity rate keeps getting worse. We are eating ourselves into the grave. And the FDA is not helping us. So when I think about somebody like Robert F. Kennedy, who Donald Trump has gotten the endorsement of and has really made a major point on these issues, getting America healthy again. I mean, the guy's like 70 years old and he's pumping iron every day and he's pretty jacked and he looks damn good. Some people say to themselves, well, and this was asked to me in Lynn County when I was down there for their event last week. What do you think of RFK? I said, well, he's definitely really liberal on some stuff, but I don't really care. Because if Trump is going to put a guy like RFK in charge of trying to make America healthy again, then that's a great development. That's the kind of development that I want out of RFK. I don't care what he thinks about climate change or anything else because he's not going to be in charge of those things. RFK has been going after the FDA and has been trying to get America healthy on many things for a long time. And Trump's looking at it and saying, well, if that's what he's good at, that's what he's passionate about, then I'm going to put him in that lane. I'm not going to put him in some other lanes when it comes to gun control or climate stuff or anything like that, but he's going to be the guy who hopefully is going to play a major role in making sure the FDA is actually looking out for the American people and not the big food companies, and not allowing Fruit Loops to jam 12 grams of sugar in the one cup while they fix their cereals in Canada and overseas. They continue to not do the job that needs to be done here in the United States, in part because the FDA is not cracking down on them. And even California, I give California credit. There's not much I give California credit for. But California and Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom recently signed a bill banning 6 food dyes from food served in the state's public schools, making it the first state in the U.S. to take such a step. California's laws now ban 4 of the food dyes in Fruit Loops: red dye number 40, yellow dye number 5, yellow dye number 6, and blue dye number 1. This is not like smoking, let's say, where you can enjoy a cigarette and it's not that big a deal. There's nothing that you're getting out of these dyes that are just cramming sugar in the kids and doing nothing for you. When you can replace that very easily, why would you not do it? To me, those are the things that the government can be getting involved in that can be beneficial for society at large. Ryan's in Lee's Summit. He's on KCMO. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Pete. So speaking on this, there's an interesting app called Yuka, I believe is how you pronounce it. Yuka. Scan the barcode on the back of anything you get ready to eat, and it's going to tell you what kind of harmful chemicals are in there and what it's going to do to your body. I mean, we've been slowly, over the years, poisoning ourselves. 0-calorie drinks and sugar-free and all that stuff. All it's doing is just poisoning you.
You're right, and I will add to that. I think that my wife uses that app. She was telling me about an app. You scan the barcode, and it tells you, like, good, bad, indifferent. Is that it?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
My wife and I have gone full crunchy granola. We're making our own bread and all kinds of stuff now. It's pretty eye-opening.
It is. Yeah, she said to me last night, we were lying in bed, I was reading this story, and she said to me that I guess making sourdough bread is now a thing that people are all in on.
Yeah, I'm on that wagon.
Are you? How's it working out for the kiddos?
Actually, they like it. I mean, they eat toast in the morning instead of cereal, and then we make them eggs and sausage.
Yep. Hey, man, eggs, superfood right there. Well done, Ryan.
Take care, Pete.
Nice job, man. 913-408-7957. That's our studio line and our text line here on KCMO Talk Radio. After Kellogg's is under fire, protesters showing up outside their headquarters this week, part of the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, which to me has nothing to do with politics. Now, if you don't want to get a red hat that says Make America Healthy Again because your friends might freak out and think it's something else, fine, I get it. But this should be as apolitical as anything that we have going on in America today. 745, we'll get to more of your calls, your reaction, how you're handling it with your kids as well. 913-408 795.7. Pete Mundo on a Friday on KCMO. I was waiting for these texts to roll in, by the way. I knew this was going to come. 7:50 on a Friday, Red Friday here on KCMO Talk Radio. So, story this week, Kellogg under fire. Because over 10 years ago, they said they were going to get all the crap out of their Fruit Loops, and they did not do it. All the artificial dyes and things like that, they said they would have out by 2018. They did it in other countries because they had to. In Canada, they replaced all the chemical preservatives and artificial colors with carrot juice, watermelon juice, blueberry juice, and they never did it here in the U.S., in part because the FDA is a worthless three-letter bureaucracy. But I was waiting for this on the text line, and there's plenty of you saying this on the text line, and I'm happy to explain my thoughts on it and get to yours at 913-408-7957. Pete, eat right, exercise, quit smoking, ... die anyway. So smoking pot and gambling is okay, but no blue dye number one. What happened to the free market and to freedom? I'm happy to explain what I believe are the differences between those two things. First off, most people don't know what is in the crap that they're eating. And if nothing else, bringing attention to that, the FDA doing a better job warning you of that. I know they put the sugar count on the back of the box, but I mean actually having a movement like they elected to have with smoking on why this is not good for your health would go a long way. Would it not? Wouldn't that be helpful? At the very least, shouldn't they be doing that? And let's say you want to talk about having a drink or placing a sports bet. Those are all things that you can do responsibly, and it's not going to have a great impact on your life. Now, you can always abuse those things, right? You can be a degenerate gambler. We wouldn't have any of those on this show or anything like that, would we now? No, of course not, Mark. You can be an alcoholic. Obviously, that's really bad. But you can also enjoy those things and be absolutely fine. But if you take those things away from people, they're going to find ways to do them. We tried it with prohibition. We know that people have been sports betting with bookies since sports was around. I don't believe anyone's going to be like, I need my blue dye number one fix. Get me that number 40 yellow dye fix. Come on, hook me up here, brother. Where is it? Where am I getting my yellow dye? No one's going to do that. And if it can be part of a movement to make people healthier, that's a good thing. And who ends up eating most of this crap anyway? This is where you continue to find a divide in America. It's overwhelmingly likely that those who are poorer, economically speaking, in nature, they are the ones who are more likely to eat this crap, whether it's unknowingly or because it's the cheapest food out there. It is more expensive than ever to eat. Grocery prices are up 20%. So it's really expensive now to eat healthy. And at the very least, our government should not encourage us to eat like crap, John.
And I figured you're headed down that kids consume a lot of it. You know, as I get older, I don't eat things that are colored. I usually go and get, natural products. But, kids consume a lot of the things that have the dyes in them.
Yeah.
Right.
And what else do? They target these cereals to kids. Just
Sure.
Joe Camel used to target kids for smoking. They had to get rid of that. Mm-hmm. The cereals are targeted towards kids. How many times you take the kid into the grocery store? Oh, Dad, look at the Fruit Loops box. It looks so gross. Oh, I want Tony the Tiger. Like, they gear it towards the kids. That's what they do. That's the goal of it. I even saw one of these Maha folks, Make America Healthy Again, this morning. I think that my phone is listening to me. I really do, because I popped open my Facebook app this morning, and someone, I have no idea who they are, I've never followed the account, had a selfie of themselves in front of Travis and Jason Kelce on the cover of a Doritos box, or Doritos bag, I guess they're doing endorsements for now. And it said something like, I love Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, but I wish they weren't promoting foods that are killing our kids, or something along those lines. And I don't know who this person was, but it's amazing how they end up finding me, and now I'm getting geo-targeted or whatever for these Facebook ads. 913-408-7957 as we approach 8 o'clock on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Cody's in Platte City. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Pete. Good morning.
Morning, Cody. What's happening?
I just wanted to let you know, food manufacturers recently been bought by some of these large cigarette manufacturers as well. Like Kraft is owned by Philip Morris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, the industry continues to consolidate. There's no doubt about that.
It just seemed like maybe when that whole cigarette went into effect that now we kind of moved their business over and still putting carcinogens in our food.
Yeah, well, certainly, listen, that's where the FDA, if you're going to have a bureaucracy like the FDA, at least have them do their job somewhat right. If not, get rid of the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
If we're going to have this whole idea of, hey, it's the free market, eat what you want, I don't care if you want to kill yourself, like whatever, then just get rid of the FDA and let people make their own decisions. What's the point of the FDA if they're not doing any of this stuff?
And to your point, we're talking about cereal right now, and I guess when I was saying kids are targeted, I'm thinking of fruit drinks and different colored drinks and candies and things like that would have this as well.
Yeah, yes.
The FDA should be regulating all of that.
Yep. On the text line, Pete, Aldi's has Fruit Loops that does not have any of the dye in them, and they still taste great. Well, that's what I mean. If the taste doesn't change, and they're doing these changes to their Fruit Loops in Canada, in Australia, and in Europe, then they could easily do it here. But the FDA does nothing about it. 913-408-7957. Shawnee, Steve, go ahead, man.
Hey, what's going on? You know what? This is really, really funny. Is that basically a lot of people eat the processed foods. The thing is where they, chicken nuggets and the cereal and everything like that. And if you ever look at it, which we've got to read with a magnifying glass, you know, it's full of sugar, full of salt, full of all the bad things. But one thing that FDA could do is tell these people on the labels, make it a little bit bigger and maybe put it on the front of the box, not the back of the box in small print at a font of 8. Put it at 10, put it at 12, and put what it is. Because the whole thing is people will read this stuff and they'll go, oh, my God, I'm killing myself.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're being generous. You're being very generous. Thank you, Steve.
Very nice to the FDA.
On the size 8 font. That is a very generous size you're giving them on size 8 font. On the text line as we approach 8 o'clock, Pete, we need to eat the cats and the dogs. Much healthier than Fruit Loops. Well done. Well done.